Okay, I want to thank you for your time being here today. This is an important topic for all of the 250 different companies we represent or we work with through Hawaii. Um, and it may seem ridiculous for a white male, cisgendered occupier type guy to be seen as an expert on this topic, but it's a topic that's important to me, to our company, to the 250 companies we work with, and to your company as well, or we wouldn't be here today. I have the privilege of working with a pretty diverse team that serves probably the most diverse state in the US, but I still share the disclaimer and the caveat that I'll never be Hawaiian, even though I live here. I've learned a lot about diversity from friends and colleagues and family members and just life over the years about neurodiversity and queer culture and age discrimination and politics and just, well, about the respect it takes to live and to work and to thrive in this fun world with such a variety of fun and not so fun people. I'll be tying together two concepts, diversity and respect in the workplace, giving you some tips that hopefully will help. These are each topics that are worthy of a 1 hour presentation, if not more, but I've got an hour, so I'm going to try to combine them into both and give you 8 sections of tips for a respectful and diverse workplace. We're going to start off with diversity, then talk about some tips about how to deal with rumors and gossip and how to share your concerns and opinions diplomatically, nonverbal cues and how important they are, bullying and ridicule, respecting other people's space, watching your impulsive behavior and your criticism. But they're all kind of tied together in respect. That's basically what we all need in these days, is respect from each other. But I'll start off with diversity. How to embrace diversity by dignifying differences in people around you. Diversity is in the thoughts and hearts of most of us lately. Black Lives Matter became the theme of global protests and demonstrations following the death of George Floyd at the hand and knee of police officers. Even here in Hawaii, people gathered to show support. The coronavirus pandemic has impacted a lot of us, has hit people of color hardest. The economic challenges due to COVID has hit everyone, but again, people of color have been hit harder by unemployment. The Mauna Kea protests had Native Hawaiians divided from business interests. Immigration issues continue for our state, heavily reliant upon immigration labor and immigrant families. And because they make up 1/3 of the hotel and food service industry, they were hit harder by COVID as well. Across some parts of the country, there have been pushbacks to LGBTQ plus people and issues, and books being banned and Disney being sued for its stand on challenging the Don't Say Gay laws in Florida, and laws prohibiting people in drag and anti-trans laws being passed. And we all live in a pretty divided culture, in a pretty divided country where everything is red or blue, Republican or Democrat. Maybe less so here in Hawaii than other places, but the division is still felt here. So what is diversity in the workplace and why is this important for us today? I'm going to share a quick, silly 4-minute video with you. And let's see if this works. And I'm going to narrate it since not everyone has brilliant eyesight or is on a place where they can see. And I'm going to see if I can make the sound go on. There we go. Even though it's not great sound, come on. Sorry about tech here. Maybe I won't make the sound go on. Okay, let me start over again. Sorry about that. Sometimes the magic works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, there once was a time in the not so distant past when penguins ruled many lands in the sea of organizations. These penguins were not always wise, they were not always popular, but they were always in charge. For many years, their world was orderly, predictable, and stable. And you can kind of figure out who penguins are, maybe. But there came a time when things began to change in the land of penguins. New birds arrived, birds of many shapes, sizes, and colors. Harry the peacock was one of these birds. Creative and imaginative, full of energy and enthusiasm. At first, both the penguins and the peacock were pleased. Together, they thought, we will achieve great things. But as time went on, trouble brewed. Some of the penguins began to grumble that the peacock's voice was too loud and his feathers too flashy. Look, they said, we like your work, but we're uncomfortable with your style. Why don't you put on a penguin suit? What's wrong with the way I am? Perry asked. Why can't you look at my work rather than my feathers? Listen, you could have a bright future here, the penguins responded. You just need to change to fit in. The peacock resisted, but the penguins persisted. His ideas were discounted and dismissed. When Perry asked why, the penguin said, this is the way we've always done things here. Perry's heart was filled with sadness. Then one day, Sarah the seagull told him of a wonderful place she had seen on one of her journeys, the land of opportunity. There, she said, you could be colorful and they would appreciate you, not criticize you. Dare he hope this was true? He had to go check it out. When Perry arrived in the land of opportunity, he found that it was totally different from the land of penguins. Here, everyone knew that they needed different kinds of birds. Some birds swam, many flew, and some kept their feet planted on the ground. This gave them many different perspectives, which they shared openly with one another. Their shared knowledge made them wise, and their wisdom made them successful. Perry knew he had found his new home. What's more, he discovered that the land of opportunity is more than a place. It's a state of mind. It's an openness to new ideas, a willingness to listen, an eagerness to learn, a desire to grow, and the flexibility to change. The land of opportunity is where we live and work when we choose to see with new eyes, live from our hearts, allow ourselves and others to be who we truly are, ourselves. Okay, that's the cheesy video du jour. Thanks for, I'll bet you didn't think you'd see a cartoon this morning, but there it was. Diversity, we all have a variety of birds in all of our workplaces these days, and diverse crews everywhere. Diversity in the workplace means that a company's workforce includes people of varying gender, age, religion, race, ethnicity, cultural background, sexual orientation, religion, languages, education, neurodiversity, and abilities, and more. All of us have a variety of things that identify us. If I looked at each one of you, if all your cameras that we're on right now, there are some protected classes I might be able to identify and some that aren't clear. Some you can see, some you can't or are internalized. They're all part of the growing list of identities that are actually protected classes by state or federal law. It's illegal to discriminate against any of these things. It's illegal to harass people because any of these things. And the list grows every year. And here's why those identities are protected. People from a dominant social group, privileged by birth or acquisition, or in the majority, can knowingly or unknowingly exploit, discriminate, oppress, marginalize, or disenfranchise others. This can turn into oppression, happening at our level, all levels, reinforced by society, institutional biases, reactions between different people, and individual beliefs. For example, if you're a white male, it's not okay to discriminate against females or people who are brown, or oppress them or marginalize them or exploit them or disenfranchise them. And it doesn't have to be white men who discriminate and disenfranchise. Anyone who's outnumbered can often feel marginalized or discriminated against. If a group of these Hapa females, or even one, is discriminating against other protected classes, that's not okay either. It's actually illegal. It's important to pay attention to your first impressions of people. Think about what struck you when you saw me on the camera today. Think about how you might have reacted differently if I was female, or black, or Asian, or in a wheelchair, or if I stuttered, or if I was Native Hawaiian, or if I was wearing a turban, or board shorts and slippers, or if I was 22 years old, or 92 years old. Think about how you might have reacted differently, just the first impression of seeing me. And then think about, what about after you get to know me a bit, and how things would change if you know about my food preferences, or my clothing choices, or my hygiene or lack thereof, my shoe size, my health, my ethics, whether I'm a cat person or a dog person, what kind of car I drive, how many tattoos I have, where they are, whether I'm tech savvy or not, whether I'm a Pepsi or a Coke drinker, or a coffee aficionado, or an herbal tea drinker, whether I wear a red MAGA hat on the weekends, or have a Biden bumper sticker on my car. How things, there's a lot of things that impact how we deal with other people. It's important to get past your first impressions that get in the way of you getting to know someone. What do you think about when somebody in a protected class walks in? Have you made up your mind about who I sleep with, what God I pray to, or whether I pray at all, or whether I have a disability or not, or how my current age impacts what I say? Are you being fair and open-minded to people you meet? And pay attention to when someone like me looks at you as a group. Do I see or make eye contact? If we were all sitting around a table, what if I only made eye contact with one group of people? Or whether if I smiled at men versus more than women, or women more than men, or people of color more or less? Do I give a smile to one class of people and stink eye to another class of people? Do I agree more with one class or type of people than another? It goes both ways. Watch how you label people in what you say and in your thoughts. If you think all gay people are X, or all Asian people are Y, or all men are Z, this probably translates into your actions. It's not only okay, it's not only illegal to say things like that and start treating people that way, but it's just not a helpful thing in any 21st century business, especially when you live on an island. So how does diversity impact companies? Well, here's an article from just a couple days ago. Gen Z employees were surveyed about how their company dealt with LGBTQ employees, and they gave their employers a C+ grade. Well, maybe that's above average, but what do you think happens to these young, up to 26-year-old employees who feel their companies are on the bottom half of that bell-shaped curve? If you're a 26-year-old and your company gets a C- or a D or an F on how they deal with LGBTQ employees, do they stay at your company? Do they work harder? Not so much. Do they promote their employer? Not so much. Do they make better teammates? No. Do they help you attract other brighter, more motivated coworkers? Not so much. People pay attention. Here's another article just from 3 days ago that says companies, as companies navigate the challenging conversations about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, those employees who feel like they don't belong or are not included based on their demographics or something they can't change, that's often felt in their mental health. The mental health of Black and Brown and Native American and Native Hawaiian and Indigenous and marginalized people suffer when they're not treated as equal. And that impacts them and their families and ultimately their coworkers and their employers. So think for a minute, and I don't want to hear your answers, but think about what kind of grade on that A to F scale you'd give your company for how it deals with people who are different. Then give your team a grade. Then give yourself a grade. I encourage you all to think about what small step you can take to increase your grade just a little bit. If you're a C+, it probably wouldn't take much to turn into a B-, and that's an improvement. It would be great if we all could leap to that A+ level, but that's going to take some time and effort. But you can do that, but it might take some time, and you have to start now. Don't put this off. Work on increasing your GPA for yourself, your mental health, and your company's mental health. Today, a diverse workforce is more important than ever and fuels innovative thinking, creativity. It assures your customers and your clients that they matter when they see a diverse workforce. When they see people like them, or when they see a diverse group in your team, that makes a difference and helps your business actually grow. Diversity drives business success these days. If you're not using good hiring practices, if you're not retaining diverse employees, you're not going to do so well in today's marketplace. We live on an island, and customers here know if you're not being diverse in your workforce and in your customers. It's a key to a successful bottom line. It reduces litigation and lessens discrimination and harassment claims. And if you're not treating your crew and your colleagues well, the brightest and best will go elsewhere. They'll go work for your competitors. They'll go to places where they fit in or are valued, like that Peacock, or where they're not targeted or bullied, or where they feel their mental health and safety are important. And all the trouble you spent onboarding them and training them goes to your competitors when they leave. The key to this whole training is about respect. That's where I'm going to be spending the rest of my time. The dictionary defines respect as demonstrating consideration, admiration, and acceptance of someone else based on their abilities, their qualities, their achievements, and it also includes demonstrating regard for their feelings, their wishes, their rights, their traditions, even if they're different from you, even if you don't agree with them. It doesn't come naturally. It's something we all have to learn. And again, you don't have to like someone or agree with them, but you do need to be civil and respect that people are people and people are different. In business, respect means more than respecting people who look like you or who went to the same school or who have the same attitudes. That's easy. It's harder when you work with people who aren't like you, on the surface or otherwise. When that happens, it's easier to allow your biases to jump in and you start treating other people, quote, other people, differently because of your biases. Respect at work is all about tolerance. We need to look past differences rather than fear them. Get to know someone regardless of their skin color, their gender, who they love, where they were raised, what language they spoke growing up, what their religious beliefs are, and more. So here's one tip for you. It's about when someone says something you disagree with. Try not to get defensive, but instead just ask one honest, non-threatening question to dig for more information. Here's one example. This comes from the world of gender fluidity. We have men becoming women at work, women becoming men, and we have to adapt to that and support these employees making these changes. If you don't understand the right pronoun to use, ask them. They'll tell you. There are people now who don't use he or she, but they use they, for example. And if you don't know that, rather than judging and scorning, ask them the best way to address them. If Chris says that his or her preferred gender pronoun is they, then you start changing your language and figuring out how to support them when they come in the room. And even more importantly, to talk about Chris when they is not the person in the room and support their pronoun. It's challenging for many of us, but if you practice, you get better at it. When it's your child or your grandchild like mine, or your neighbor or your cousin who says, please address me as they, as opposed to he or she. Here's the respect, true or false question. If you hear a joke that could be hurtful to others, you should speak up, true or false. That's true. Staying silent co-opts with the disrespectful person, encouraging them to continue. At work, hurtful comments are just not okay. And it's everyone's responsibility to say, ouch, or hey, that's not okay, or that comment has no place here at this workplace. You draw the line and don't play into insults that don't respect others. Okay, that's diversity number one. Here is tip number two. We're going to move into the realm of respect by stifling rumors and foregoing gossip. Gossip is everywhere. We've all done it. And there are lots of reasons that workplace gossip can be toxic and even illegal. Gossip, especially malicious gossip, has no place in today's worksite and can be, again, illegal. Spreading a rumor that so-and-so is sleeping around, or that the boss is having an affair, or someone in a protected class is doing something not okay, can be seen as illegal harassment. It also just leaves the workplace feeling toxic at the end of the day. So watch those water cooler discussions about your coworkers. Spreading rumors at work just has negative impacts on the workplace. Telling people you think there might be layoffs coming, or that someone's getting fired or promoted or not promoted. These rumors just leave everyone looking over their shoulder, stirring up more rumors and gossip. And before you know it, nobody's doing their jobs well, and performance drops, or work just feels toxic every day. You have a choice when it comes to workplace gossip. Just put a stop to it. I'm not going there. That's not okay. Can we talk about something else that's important, like where we're going for lunch? Or that sounds like a rumor, and walk away. There are lots of ways of letting other people know you just don't join in the spinning that stops with gossip. Here's the next true or false question. True or false? It's okay to engage in gossip if you ask yourself, would I be willing to tell this face-to-face to the person I'm gossiping about? And the answer is no. Justifying gossip by thinking I'd be happy to tell this to that person doesn't mean you would. It's just not okay to say hurtful things about a coworker to them anyway, let alone say hurtful things to other people. Tip number three is about stating your concerns and opinions diplomatically. Here's another respect tip. Don't be a know-it-all. Even if you're the brightest bulb in your organization, maybe you are, acting in that way all the time is not likely to help the organization or you. It's okay to share insights that can help your team solve a problem, but acting like everybody is stupider than you will make everyone realize you're not that smart when it comes to emotional intelligence. The next true or false question. When you share an opinion, you should always be ready to support it. Yeah, that's true. If people want to know more, they'll ask, or if they disagree, you can back up your opinion with evidence or statistics or your personal journey. But you don't have to bring up all your evidence right away to prove you're right. Tip number 4, exhibit appropriate nonverbal cues. We all communicate all the time non-verbally. Our body posture, our facial expressions, our sighs, our eye rolling, our crossed arms, our tapping feet, and so forth. We all get more accurate information by paying attention to people's body language than by listening to them. If I said, it's great to be with you today, or it's great to be with you today, what do you get from me? Or it's great to be with you today, and I roll my eyes. You get a lot of information from people's nonverbal communication. The more open your body language is when you're talking with someone, the better. So pay attention to what your hands are doing, what your face is doing, what your body's doing as you talk to your coworkers. When you're talking with someone, the more smiling, friendly eye contact you can make, nodding positively, genuinely reflecting looks of concern or surprise instead of boredom or disgust, the better your relationships will be at work. We communicate better and more frequently with those who seem to be paying attention to our conversation. So better teamwork comes from team members who are positive with each other. True or false? If you disagree, you should shake your head while the person talks to show that you object. Yeah, that's false. Talking with someone who's shaking their head no is really distracting and polarizing. It shuts them down and doesn't help the conversation move forward. Tip number 5 is avoiding and even rejecting bullying and ridicule. I'm going to skip this one. Bullying has become a major problem in some organizations. It's kind of like having an infestation of cockroaches at work. It only gets worse unless something is done about it. Bullying can spread to others, and bullies can thrive unless something's done, until the non-bullies leave the organization to find a healthier place to work. There are lots of different types of bullies. Some do practical jokes that can be cruel and hurtful. Some do this verbally or through emails or nonverbal sighs. Some use derogatory terms or insulting nicknames. Some use profanity when people don't appreciate that. So watch that. Again, it may seem like just looking the other way may be the most painless way to get through your day. But eventually, bullies can even turn on their allies, and it will indeed be your day to be bullied. Here's a fun example from a North Carolina body shop. How would you like to have a coworker that called your spouse pretending to be representing a funeral home and told your spouse you're dead and asked how they should dispose of your body? This happened to someone. And how much do you think that body shop had to pay because they didn't put a stop to it? If this kind of stuff was going on in your company and nobody put a stop to it, just think of how much your company would have to pay someday. It would probably bankrupt most businesses. So here's a multiple choice question. What percentage of respondents in a survey of office employees found that or thought that profanity was unacceptable at work? Was 11% thought that profanity was unacceptable at work, 31%, 51%, or 91%? 91% said that profanity is unacceptable in the workplace. I think there's a wide range of profanity out there. I've used profanity more than I should have, but it's something to watch out for. And know that it could cause disciplinary actions if it's judged inappropriate to your organization's culture and its policies. Number 6, respect other space at work. We all have personal boundaries, even if your coworker's cubicle doesn't have a door on it or it looks like they're free. Consider that that's their workplace and what they might be doing. Crashing into somebody's cubicle unannounced just to see how they jump isn't okay. You're not more important than anyone else in your organization. Even if you're the CEO, we all have to say knock, knock, or are you free, to demonstrate that we respect our coworkers. A question for you. Should there ever be a time that employees get into physical altercations at work? Yeah, not so much. Physical altercations at work usually lead to somebody getting fired, or even an assault charge because it could be a criminal action. You can't do personal threats of retaliation either. And a reminder to respect other people's belongings at work. Don't take their stapler or their tools or a folder from their desk without asking them. One more question about boundaries, true or false. When standing and talking with a coworker, it's appropriate to maintain a distance of between 18 inches and 4 feet. That's true. The range of personal bubbles that people feel most comfortable with is 4 feet to 18 inches. I know with COVID, it's 6 feet, but usually if you're closer than 18 inches, you're too close. And if you're farther than that 4 or COVID 6 feet, that feels like too much of a distance to have a good conversation at work. The next tip is about restraining your impulsive behavior. So what is impulsive behavior? It's acting without thinking first, or taking a breath first. It includes talking back to people in a disrespectful tone, making hurtful or cynical wisecracks, rushing to defend yourself when you're criticized, and losing your temper. You do these things and you'd be known as the office hothead. A lot would go better if people only thought before they spoke. This would reduce a lot of workplace conflicts, because when we just blurt out whatever's on our mind, that often doesn't have things go the way we want it to go. The next true or false question: impulsive behavior not only stems from impatience, but can also result from feelings of bitterness, inadequacy, and self-doubt. True or false? Yeah, we're more likely to act out if we feel what's called situational incompetence. We're lacking the confidence that we're doing okay or performing adequately in a given situation. And like any of the tips I'm sharing, if you know you have a challenge with impulsive behavior, don't forget you've got EAP available to you. Some coaching or some counseling on your triggers and learning new ways of being at work can help you save your job, your reputation, and more. The last tip is to watch your use of criticism. What's the difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism? Nothing. They're both simply criticism. I've seen people say, I was only giving them constructive criticism when they were ripping somebody apart, and that's not constructive. Even if you're managing someone and have to give them some feedback, it's important to do this as much as possible without criticism. Public criticism or criticism in a staff meeting or group meeting is just not okay. Feedback is okay, suggestions are okay, a dialogue is okay, but criticism usually is not okay in these settings. Being constructive can mean giving feedback that's positive. Instead of "you suck" or "that was a terrible way to answer the phone," a better approach might be to say, "I appreciate that you answered the phone with hello. Can you include the company name also?" Guiding people towards better behavior pays off more than criticizing them. Here's the last true or false question. If you decide to criticize a coworker, it's important to keep the focus of the conversation solely on the specific issue at hand. And that's false. It can help if you accept some responsibility for your failings as well. Maybe saying something like, "I probably didn't mention this, but a better approach might be ... or "I might have missed something that led up to this situation." That kind of shows that you're capable of seeing all sides to the situation, and that tends to decrease a person's defensiveness. So those are the 8 tips. Congratulations on making it through these 8 tips for making your workplace more diverse and more respectful. I encourage you to take a minute to reflect on one of these things here that you could do differently. What's one simple thing you could do to make this a better place for everyone around you? And if you can't think of anything because you think you get an A+ on everything, if you really want the A+, ask your coworkers what you could do differently to make them feel more respected, to be less annoying, to help them do their jobs better, or to embrace diversity. Asking your team, is there anything I can do or stop doing that bugs you, that's a great way of showing your openness to making a positive change and a great way of showing your team that you respect them. Before I wrap up, I wanted to make sure you know about the ways your EAP is here for you. We're a confidential, easy to access resource for you and for your family members. It's outside the workplace, and best of all, yay, it's free and confidential. You're covered, and the people who live with you are covered as well. They can share the benefit with you. People use this for all kinds of reasons. Family and marriage used to be number one, but mental health is now tied for number one because of the mental health concerns we're seeing lately. So anything you'd ordinarily see a counselor about, whether it's marriage counseling or problems with your kids or depression or anxiety or sleep problems, you can come and talk to one of our counselors. We also help with compulsive behaviors, alcohol or drug issues, work-related challenges, and these work-life programs, which I'll talk about more in a second. So lots of reasons to use your EAP. It's totally confidential. Nobody at work gets to know who came in or what they talked about. You get 3 sessions per year. So it's short-term solution focus. It's not lie on the couch and tell me when you were dropped on your head when you were age 3. It's what can we do in 3 sessions to fix you or to get you the tools you need. And if you need more than 3 sessions, we'll help you find a long-term provider. These days, most of our services are provided through telehealth. Thanks to COVID, people found out that telehealth was much more convenient than driving into a counselor and spending an hour getting to a counselor's office, sitting in a waiting room and driving back to work afterwards. We're seeing people do a counseling session during their lunch hour. And we still have face-to-face counselors if you need that. We have a great network of providers across the state. So wherever you are, we have a provider close by. You also have the benefit of a legal consultation if you ever need a lawyer for anything other than work-related challenges. Your employer isn't generous enough to help you sue your employer for some reason. But if you need a half hour with an attorney, we'll get you that for free. And if you want to continue with that attorney, they'll even take 25% off their bill. So that can save you some money. You can also call us and we'll connect you with a financial advisor, an expert who's not trying to sell you anything for some advice on your finances or taxes or debt consolidation or budgeting or college loans or bankruptcy, whatever you need some financial advice about, we'll get you a free half hour. We've got a whole Kelly healthcare benefit. A lot of us are taking care of elderly parents. If you need some help finding resources for them, you can exchange a couple counseling sessions for 1 hour with them to help you find home health care or assisted living or socialization or meals at home, whatever your elderly relative needs. They know the best resources on the island. We have a mediation benefit. For some things, mediation can help you resolve things better than duking it out in court. So if you're going through a divorce or a landlord-tenant issue and we can get you into a mediation session, that could save you thousands of dollars by mediating it out with somebody who's neutral and trying to help you out. And the last work-life benefit is identity theft. If you ever get hit with identity theft or credit card fraud, you can call us up. We'll get you into somebody who can help you figure out what to do and get you on track faster. And again, I've used this word 5 times already, but confidentiality is important. We take your privacy and your confidentiality seriously. Nobody at your work knows you came to see us, so you can come and talk to us and we will take good care of your privacy. So mahalo for paying attention and for doing all you can to make this a more diverse, respectful place. If you ever want to talk to one of us about working on your respect or any challenges you have with diversity or respect, give us a call. Or if there's anything else we can support you and your ohana, remember we're here for you. I'm going to turn off the recording here in a second.